not spent much time talking about the team in Los Angeles that also has been exterminated from the playoffs. And our lead this hour is from L.A., the eulogy of the 2024 Chargers, who finished their season with a dud, an out-of-whack performance in Houston. Much of the focus on that play was from the quarterback of the L.A. football team. Now, Jim Harbaugh addressed the Gila monster in the room. If you did not hear what he had to say, we have some audio we're going to play for you. So Jim Harbaugh said that the criticism of Justin Herbert, his quarterback, unwarranted, and, well, rather than me tell you what he said, let's go to the audio tape. Here's Jim Harbaugh.
My responsibility, we did not put him in, we did him a disservice and didn't put him in the positions to be successful enough. But he played like a beast. I mean, there's nobody, and that was your question, how do I think he played? Yeah, after watching the tape, you know, I second that, double down on that statement. There's nobody in this entire organization who gives more blood, sweat, and tears and contributes more, produces more for the entire organization than Justin Herbert.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think you missed a spot. All right, so let us discuss the question. Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh, as you just heard, says Justin Herbert's criticism there. Well, he essentially said it was unfair. He actually did say the words unfair at one point. Does Herbert deserve a pardon? Does he deserve a pardon for his playoff performance or lack thereof playoff performance? So I have Hurricane, Penguin, and 7-Eleven. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a money ball. Something the Clippers made a lot of when they won their basketball game by 59 points. That's a real professional sports game where one team was 59 points better than the other team. All right, so to answer the question, Jim Harbaugh making the statement, it's unfair, the criticism completely unfair and all that. Does Herbert deserve a pardon? Absolutely not. There are no pardons handed out. And we get that Jim Harbaugh has to say this stuff. He's a ride-or-die coach. He likes to say, who has it better than us? Well, the answer, who has it better than us, that would be the Houston Texans. That would be every other team alive in the divisional round or the playoffs. And he's standing by his man. I understand that's how it works, and you've got to play the role. And if he had said something, imagine if Jim Harbaugh said, oh, yeah, he sucked. He was terrible. Justin Herbert, it's almost like he had an infestation of maggots all over his body. He was that bad. Now, that would be a story. But instead, he whispered sweet nothings into his quarterback's ears here, and he regularly rhapsodizes about his quarterback, as most coaches do. He goes next level, Jim Harbaugh. However, the real ones know, right? That was not only a quarterback, that was a FUBAR performance, from the aforementioned Justin Herbert. He's in the high-rent district, right? I mean, watching him play against the Texans, it was like watching during a hurricane and the levee breaks, okay? Two playoff games, one of the great choke jobs of all time against Jacksonville when you had a 27-point lead, I believe, in that game, something along those lines. You blew that lead. And now you became the first quarterback in the modern NFL, the first one in the modern NFL to have more interceptions in a playoff than you did during the regular season. An abysmal failure. So, yeah, I'm not giving out pardons, none of that. And I have no skin in the game. I'm just calling it like it is here. And when you're the franchise quarterback and you've got the $260 million contract, you got to do better, you got to be better, and there's no excuse for that. And not all of those interceptions were on Justin Herbert, but at least two of them were pathetic throws by Justin Herbert. And the Chargers in Houston had a chance to come out and jump all over the Texans because of some mistakes by Houston in the first quarter. And they were only up 6-0. Got a couple of measly field goals in that game. All right, now page 2. So Jim Harbaugh has also announced that he is, well, he's not going to retire, but he's had some medical problems. He's not going to retire. Instead, he's going to have a lot of visits to hospitals, a lot of visits to doctors over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. Harbaugh set to undergo heart surgery and hip replacement surgery. Say what? Remember there was that incident early in the football season where Jim Harbaugh had a heartbeat that was a little off. Remember that? Yeah. So that happened, and the hip thing's been a deal. So Jim Harbaugh said to have a heart procedure and hip surgery. How does that one hit you? Well, it's going to hit him worse than it's going to hit me. But we wish good thoughts to Jim Harbaugh here. The heart condition just scares you, right? That's kind of the big deal. That's, you get the two big things. You got the brain over here, you got the heart over here. Those are the big ones, right? Those are the big ones that you need. And so he's really going to the app store. It's like you need to update the app. You got to fix the bug problems there, performance enhancements, that kind of thing. So that's what he's doing here. And it does seem like a big deal, though. Now, they claim this is a common procedure that's going to be done on the guy's heart, but it seems like a big deal. You're messing with the big one, right? The big kahuna there. So that's a problem. And as for the rest, watching Jim Harbaugh walk on the sideline, so they show him on TV a lot because he's cartoonish. When you watch Jim Harbaugh walk around, he's got a comical gait to him. He does. And it's like going to the San Diego Zoo and you're observing the penguins. Waddle, waddle, waddle. The penguins are waddling. That's how Jim Harbaugh walks, side to side. It can be very painful. I know a couple people that had it. One of the people, he's dead now, but Tommy Lasorda, he had it. He had both of his hips replaced, and I think his knees replaced when he was, obviously out not managing. He managed the Dodgers. But he said that was the most pain he had ever had in his life was hip replacement surgery. It'll mess you, and it doesn't guarantee you're going to be able to walk perfectly. Now, supposedly it's improved and all that, but it is a pain in the hip. Not the tuchus, because the hip, even though the hip kind of goes up to the tuchus, but it's a pain in the hip is what it is. Final point. So we now stop over to Cleveland. Why do we stop in Cleveland? Because there's some new reporting out that goes into great detail after the fact, mind you. This is after the fact reporting. This was not reported while it was happening, but after the season, loose lips sink football ships. And so the report behind a paywall at the Old Gray Lady, otherwise known as the Athletic, the report says the atmosphere in the Browns facility, the Browns locker room, had become much more positive. Much more positive, the atmosphere there, after Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. He shredded his Achilles. That was on October 20th, so a couple of weeks before Halloween. When he stopped playing, the storm cloud had been lifted over the Browns facility. So that's the report. Let us discuss the question, the talk that Deshaun Watson, his injury led to a different type of energy in the Browns facility. Can you decipher what that really means? Yes, of course. We have all the answers. I got a microphone. I got headphones. I got all the answers. So this is really a referendum on Kevin Stefanski. Now, Stefanski kept his job. He's the coach in Cleveland, and there was talk he was on the hot seat. Stefanski's going to return as coach of the Browns. But this is an indictment of Stefanski, that the Browns coach treated Deshaun Watson to nonstop sponge baths. Yeah, he just got a lot of soap, little soapy hot water, and a sponge, and rub-a-dub-dub. I had a little yellow rubber ducky in the tub, and he gave him a nice big sponge bath. The other thought here, we're hearing that Stefanski would regularly, not only did he give him the sponge bath, he would go down to 7-Eleven and he'd hand Watson a Slurpee. It was a slurp fest in team meetings. So I don't know if you know this, but apparently Watson's not good at his job as a quarterback. The creepy quarterback, Deshaun Watson, would regularly make many mistakes, but we are told, based on this report, during team meetings, Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, would not acknowledge the obvious mistakes that the other players recognize, like that's a mistake, and he wouldn't talk about that. Why? Deshaun Watson, not only does he have a ton of money, but he also has to be coddled and pampered. I demand to be pampered. That's possibly what he said. I wasn't there. He might have gone up to Stefanski and said, coddle, coddle, coddle. I need to be coddled. That could have been said. But either way, thin skin, which is not surprising. We knew about this years ago when Deshaun Watson was leaving Clemson. The famous story, those of you that have been with the show a long time know, there was a social media Donnybrook, a brouhaha that took place between yours truly and Deshaun Watson, who was laying it on. I was watching something, and Deshaun Watson was like, "Oh, I've overcome the odds and all this." You know, he was like a 5-star recruit. He had offers from all these power schools, and he wanted to make it seem like he was like an unrecruited player going to college and all that. So I called him out on his bullcrap. He got upset. He blocked me because of stuff I said on this radio show, which is fine, whatever. And I didn't tag him in anything. He was searching his name out, and he saw some of the stuff I had said on monologues, got all upset. So we knew going back to his days out of Clemson, he was a weenie. We knew that. And he never got criticized. And so now the reporting is once Watson got hurt, Stefanski would put a highlighter on how bad Jameis Winston was playing and the other Browns quarterbacks. And so it just didn't play well in the locker room. Didn't play well. The Browns invested not 1, not 2, but 3 first-round picks, and they guaranteed $230 million. And what they got was a cream puff. They got their own cream puff to play quarterback. And the cream puff, you can pose the cream puff in the happy baby yoga pose. You can put the cream puff down there in the happy baby yoga pose.